Good evening and welcome to the special meeting, closed session of the Board of Education, Monday, November 16th, 2020. This meeting is now called to order. Mrs. Smith, will you please do roll call vote? Roll call attendance.
Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Mr. Rich? Ms. Cummings?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Present.
I myself here. Ms. Green?
Here.
Ms. Green? Okay. And Mr. Mukamal?
Here.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Please, this evening we will be joined in the Pledge of Allegiance and led by Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Mr. Johnson.
Sure, I move that the Board of Education approve the agenda for today, November 16th, 2020, for a special meeting as presented.
Support.
Is there support? Mr. Mukamal? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Johnson, supported by Mr. Mukamal, to approve the Board of Education agenda for the special meeting November 16th, 2020. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Mrs. Smith, will you please do roll call vote?
Mr. Mukamal?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
I myself, yes. Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Cummings?
Yes.
And Ms. Green? Ms. Green?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Welcome to the November 16th Farmington Board of Education special meeting. As all of our members are participating remotely, I am formally giving voting rights to all board members for remote voting. Public comments will be shared after these announcements. If the public comment is intended to be critical or express dissatisfaction with a particular staff member, student, or group, you are encouraged not to identify the person by name. You may request a private meeting with district representatives or to utilize the complaint process found in our policy manual and administrative regulations manual, which provides for resolution at the complainant's closest point of origin. Generally, board members and the superintendent will not respond to public comments during the board meeting. Issues may be referred to the superintendent for investigation, study, and or response. Are there any public comments, Mrs. Buckley?
There are not. No one registered for a public comment.
Thank you. We will close public comments and move to the next item on the agenda. Is there a motion for request for closed session? Mr. Mukamal.
I move that the Board of Education move to closed session pursuant to Section 8H, Attorney-Client Privilege of the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976.
Support.
Support.
I heard two supports. I've got Mr. Johnson there first. So we have a motion by Mr. Mukamal, supported by Mr. Johnson, that the Board of Education move to closed session pursuant to Section 8H, Attorney-Client Privilege of the Open Meetings Act, Public Act 267 of 1976. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, Ms. Smith, please do roll call vote.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Mr. Rich? I
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Mukamal?
Yes.
And Ms. Green.
Yes.
Motion passes. And that motion was made by Mr. Mukamal
Correct.
Supported by Mr. Johnson.
and supported by Mr. Johnson. Okay.
Correct. At this time, we will move into our closed session, and then we will return back to the special meeting following the closed session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pam, you're mute.
Thank you. We will now reconvene the special meeting of the Board of Education for tonight, Monday, November 16th. We have just returned from a closed session. Is there a motion to amend the agenda? Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to consider entering into a,
The agenda.
I'm sorry?
You guys, there's 2 audio feeds going through. Sean, you got to fix that. There's 2 audio feeds coming through.
I will wait till we are ready. Just advise.
Everything is, well, a moment ago, everything was muted on our end, so I don't know, and I'm not hearing any other feedback over here.
We were getting the replay.
It sounded fine to me, Sean.
Should we try again?
Yes.
Okay. May I begin, Madam Chair?
Yes, Mr. Johnson.
Okay. I am saddened to make a motion that we amend the agenda to consider entering into a resignation agreement with our superintendent, Dr. Herrera.
Is there, I'm sorry, Mrs. Cummings? Thank you. Okay, there's a motion to amend the agenda to consider entering into a resignation agreement with Dr. Herrera by Mr. Johnson, supported by Mrs. Cummings. Before we embark in discussion, I have a statement I would like to read. I would like to begin by briefly explaining some extraordinary developments that have occurred since our last board meeting. Superintendent Dr. Robert Herrera contacted me with a complaint against board member Angie Smith, alleging that Ms. Smith had engaged in behavior that constituted harassment against him that was in violation of board policy. I contacted district legal counsel to investigate the complaint and report back to me so that I may report to the board. In the course of their investigation with Dr. Herrera, Dr. Robert Herrera indicated a desire to resign his employment with the district on terms mutually agreeable to the parties. I authorized the district's legal counsel to explore such a possible agreement leading to Dr. Herrera leaving the district, and such an agreement has been proposed. That is what is being discussed at this time. The key elements of the agreement are as follows. 1, Dr. Herrera continues as district superintendent until end of first semester, January 22nd, 2021, and thereafter is placed on work leave, acting in a consulting role with the district until June 30th, 2021, when his employment with the district ends. 2, at the time Dr. Herrera shall be paid an additional $105,000, representing about 1/2 of work in consideration for the losses he will experience as a result of not working through the end of the 3 years on his employment contract. 3, as part of the agreement, Dr. Herrera waives any legal claims that he may have against the district, including but not limited to those claims arising from board member Smith's repeated public statements and social media posts accusing him of being against African American staff and students. Is there any further discussion? Okay. Mr. Johnson, will you do roll call vote in the absence of Mrs. Smith, who is handling an emergency?
I have a statement I'd just like to say.
Go ahead.
I think Dr. Herrera has done a phenomenal job in this district. I really hate to see that things have come to this, and it's very disappointing. But you know, I think he's done a good job thus far, and you know, I think it's the loss of this district, and he's really the right man for this job. And but for some circumstances that you have just gone through, you know, I think he'd still be here. But again, I just want to say thank you, Bob, for all you've done for this district. I believe I was the one that made the motion to actually bring you in, and I'm glad that you came, and one that made the, again, just good luck to you. And you know, my term will be ending soon, but you know, I still have a child in this district, and I really wish that you were still around to lead it. But I just want to say thank you for all you've done, and not only the leadership, but you know, just the systems and things that you attempted to put in place. And you were always about the district. And one of the conversations I remember having is, you know, it's not the children's behavior that could be issues here, it's the adult behavior. And unfortunately, you know, adult behavior has led to certain things. But I just want to say thank you for all you've done, and you and your lovely family for the sacrifices that you've made. And it has not gone unnoticed, and it has not gone unappreciated. So I just want to say thank you.
Mrs. Cummings?
I want to echo what my colleague, Mr. Johnson, has said. Thank you, Dr. Herrera. Working with you has been a pleasure. I know I've learned a lot from you. I appreciate that you were willing to come into our district and really help us move forward. I have the greatest respect for you. I'm deeply saddened and disappointed to see you go, because I really appreciate the work that you've done, and the vision and the future that I could see. So thank you for everything, and I wish you well, and wish nothing but the best for you in your future. So thank you.
Thank you. I saw Mr. Mukamal's hand.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to echo what my colleagues have said this evening, and I find this deeply distressing, these events. And that's all I'm going to say right now. The district is going to be the lesser for not having Dr. Herrera leading it. And that's all I want to say at this time. Thank you.
Any other comments from board members regarding the amendment to the agenda?
Yes.
Mrs. Weems?
Yes, I just want to echo some of the comments that my colleagues have just made, and just mention that I am very disappointed by what we've heard today and the position that we're in right now. I want to thank Dr. Herrera for his service and wish him well. At the same time, I want to wish our central office staff well as well. I know that we've got the support and the expertise to continue on with the best intentions. So thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Rich?
Thank you. As with the rest of my colleagues, I want to echo their thoughts. Losing Dr. Herrera will be a great loss for our district. We had steps in place. We were building a foundation to be moving forward. And it'll be on my colleagues and myself to now find a new superintendent to help us keep moving forward. And to Dr. Herrera, I want to say thank you for your time and effort that you put into our district. And I want to wish you and your family the best moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I just, as you can tell, I'm very emotional because my passion is education. Having met with Dr. Herrera, and the first time I met with him, we sat down probably about 3 hours and just talked about education, vision and mission, and where he could bring this district. And I truly believe that he was the person. His skill set was like nothing we have ever seen in this district. So this is painful, very painful. I have the utmost respect for Dr. Herrera and was excited. I even shared at one point to him that he made me so excited when he talked about teaching and learning that I wanted to go back into the classroom and be a teacher again. That's the kind of person he is. And this is a sad day for Farmington Public Schools. And again, I can't thank Dr. Herrera enough for his commitment and the things that you have been able to accomplish during your time here. And we wish you and your family the very, very best. Thank you for giving your time to Farmington Public Schools. At this time, Mr. Johnson, will you please do roll call in the motion to amend the agenda to consider the resignation agreement with Dr. Herrera?
Yes. Ms. Weems?
Yes.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
Ms. Cummings?
Yes.
Ms. Smith, are you back? Hearing nothing, moving to Mr. Mukamal?
Yes.
I myself, regrettably, yes. And Ms. Green?
Yes.
Unanimously passes 6-0.
Thank you. Is there a motion related to the resignation agreement of Dr. Herrera? Mr. Mukamal?
I move that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Dr. Herrera and accept the resignation agreement as presented.
Ms. Smith is back. Would you like to vote on, Ms. Smith, the resignation agreement of Dr. Herrera? Yay or nay, please?
Yes. I'm saying yes, I would like to vote. I'm sorry. Yes,
And your
I
vote
will.
is?
Yes.
Madam Chair, just so the record is clear, it is now unanimous 7-0.
Thank you. We've moved
I'm
into
sorry,
the
Mr. Mukamal, to interrupt you.
I'm not sure.
No.
Never mind.
That was, just to be clear, that was the motion to modify the agenda,
Correct, but we had moved on to
correct?
a different motion.
Right, which I presented.
Let's make it nice and clear. So should we re-vote on the motion to accept the resignation? Have we all voted yes?
We have voted on the motion to modify the agenda.
Yes.
I will now make the motion for the agreement. I move that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Dr. Herrera and accept the resignation agreement as presented.
Support.
I'm sorry, I'm just trying to keep up here. We have a motion that the Board of Education accept the resignation of Dr. Herrera and accept the resignation agreement as presented. The motion was made by Mr. Mukamal, supported by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Ms. Smith, are you in a position to do the roll call vote?
Actually not, but can Mr. Johnson or Ms. Weems continue that?
Yes.
And then I can make my vote because I do have a family emergency.
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson will.
Ms. Weems,
Yes.
Mr. Rich,
Yes.
Ms. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Mukamal,
With deep regret, yes.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
I myself, again, with deep regret and disappointment, yes. Ms. Green,
With extreme disappointment, yes.
okay, that's a 7-0 unanimous pass.
Thank you.
It is. We have accepted the resignation of our leader, Dr. Robert Herrera.
Thank you. Is there any other business pertaining to this particular matter? Mr. Mukamal.
I move that the agenda be amended again to address the reason that Dr. Herrera resigned from the district, that being the behavior and statements of Angie Smith.
I'll support it.
Wait, I'm sorry, hang on. I got to catch up 1 second here. I'm sorry. Mr. Johnson, did you say support?
I will support it.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Mr. Mukamal to amend the agenda again to address the reason that Dr. Herrera resigned, that being the behavior of and statements of Angie Smith, supported by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson.
I think this board needs to take some action. You know, the community has asked us so many times, whether it's different board members, that we need to hold ourselves accountable. And we need to do that in this particular case. I think that this is just not a statement. It appears to be a pattern here, and I think this board needs to take some sort of action of some sort to send a message not only to the community, but any other board members who engage in this egregious type behavior. It just should not be tolerated, and we need to do something about this.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, there is a motion to amend the agenda again to address the reason Dr. Herrera resigned from the district, that being the behavior and statements of Angie Smith, by Mr. Mukamal and supported by Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, will you please do roll call vote?
Yes, I will. Ms. Weems. I'm sorry, Ms. Weems. Are you muted?
I think she might have been muted when other numbers were being muted. 1 moment.
She's
I
not
don't see her
muted.
muted.
She's not muted.
I'll try again, Ms. Weems. I just don't want to pass anybody over. Mr. Rich.
Yes.
Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Ms. Weems.
I wonder if she's lost connection.
She is having technical difficulties.
So go ahead with the other board members, Mr. Johnson, please.
Mr. Mukamal.
Yes.
Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith. Hearing nothing, I will pass. I myself, yes. Ms. Green?
Yes.
I'll go back to Ms. Weems again. Ms. Smith? We
I'm
do
sorry,
have five.
so you know, Ms. Weems is attempting to dial back in.
Sure. We can wait a moment if, I have no objection to that unless others
I have no
do.
objection.
Have we heard from Ms. Smith? Is she still with us?
So Ms. Weems still appears to be having technical difficulties. She's attempting to dial in, but it's not being successful.
I say we wait let's give her another minute or so. I think it's important that everybody weighs in on this.
Ms. Weems has asked us to move ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Cummings. Is Ms. Smith aboard? Okay, not hearing anything there. As of now, we have a 5-0 motion to, the motion passes to, make sure I'm right here, I don't want to move ahead. Motion passes to amend the agenda to address the conduct and behavior of Board Member Angie Smith. Pam, I think you're muted.
She's indicating that she cannot unmute herself. So if perhaps Sean could help.
Yeah, Richard says we're all muted and it's locked. Can you hear me, Jessica?
Yes.
Okay, maybe it's just you and I.
Perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's just you and I. So they gave the two attorneys unmuted mics. Look out.
Wow, watch out. Here we come.
Okay.
I think Sean just said he's working on it.
There we go.
I
I
can now
got
unmute.
unmuted. There we are. We are back.
That was a good way to kick me out there. Yeah, I gotcha.
All right. So can I ask a question? It looks like Ms. Weems is back now. Ms. Weems, would you like to vote on this?
And clarify the amend the agenda.
Yes, I'm sorry,
to
Ms. Weems,
address the case.
I'm not sure what you missed. There was a motion by Mr. Mukamal, supported by myself, to amend the agenda to discuss the behaviors of Board Member Angie Smith. Did I state that right? Yes, no?
Mr. Mukamal?
Yeah, yes, I
Can you
believe
guys not
that
hear me
was
again? My
accurate.
answer was yes. I am a yes. Yes.
Okay, Ms. Weems says yes. And again, is Ms. Smith on? And not hearing anything. So we have a 6-0 to discuss.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion related to the behavior and statements of Ms. Smith? Mr. Mukamal?
I move that the Board of Education accept the following resolution and conditions of censure related to Mrs. Angie Smith. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas board member Angie Smith has over the past several months made numerous statements in board meetings, in other public meetings, to various individuals, and on social media that have accused Superintendent Dr. Robert Herrera of having a practice and or policy of treating African American employees of the district less favorably than white employees, and otherwise acting in a manner that disfavored African American employees as well as students, which statements have not been substantiated, have not been authorized or endorsed by the Board of Education or other board members, and do not reflect the views of the board. Whereas such statements and posts were made and or publicly available without Ms. Smith disclaiming that her comments and posts were not those of the Board of Education and were her own personal views. Whereas the nature of Ms. Smith's public comments and posts have caused disruption to school district meetings and operations, impaired the reputation of the district, tainted the reputation of the superintendent, eroded community trust, and has thus necessarily and unfairly interfered with the ability of the superintendent to perform his duties and provide leadership for the district. Whereas Ms. Smith's public comments and posts have directly led to Superintendent Dr. Robert Herrera deciding to resign his employment with the district on terms mutually agreeable to him and the district, which will also resolve any potential legal claims that Dr. Herrera may have against the district as a result of Ms. Smith's unsubstantiated public comments and posts. And whereas the board lacks legal authority to remove Ms. Smith from the board or to prevent her from voting. Now, therefore, it is resolved that the November 16, 2020 minutes shall state that the board disavows Ms. Smith's unsubstantiated public comments, public statements, and social media posts that Dr. Herrera has a practice or policy of treating African American employees and or students less favorably than white employees and students. Secondly, the board finds that Ms. Smith ignored her responsibilities as a board member to monitor and reflect upon the highly likely adverse effect of these unsubstantiated and unauthorized statements and posts about Superintendent Herrera on his ability to effectively perform his duties, as well as the ongoing work of the district. And as a result, this resolution shall be considered a censure of Ms. Smith for such statements and posts. Thirdly, effective immediately and continuing through the end of her term as a Farmington board member, pursuant to Board Bylaw 1001, removal from office, Ms. Smith shall be removed as board secretary, removed from acting as a mentor to any new board member, removed from any appointment previously made by the board to authorize Ms. Smith to act as a chairperson or liaison for any district committee or district work group. And with respect to Ms. Smith's position relating to the Oakland County School Board Association Board of Directors, such board shall be advised that Ms. Smith no longer represents the views of the Farmington Board of Education. Fourthly, this board pledges to continue and reinvigorate its efforts to attain greater equity within the district so that all students, staff, and community feel welcome, embraced, and supported within our district as valued members of the Farmington Public Schools. And fifth, the board's actions within this resolution shall be inserted within the minutes of this meeting. That concludes the resolution and the motion, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Is there support for the motion?
I'll support it.
Mr. Johnson, thank you. We have a motion that the Board of Education accept the central resolution and conditions therein related to Ms. Angie Smith is read by Mr. Mukamal and supported by Mr. Johnson. Is there any discussion? Mr. Rich.
So we just received word that Ms. Smith is back. but that she was dealing with a family emergency. Can we get that resolution sent to the board, please? So that we can read it in full, as well as Ms. Smith read it in full, just so that there is proper discussion.
I agree with that.
I'm going to defer
agree.
to Anne Marie. Are you on here? Mrs. Welch?
Yes. Yes.
Are you, I'm not quite sure how we can get that sent to the board members right now. I know that it was not a final, it was in a draft, it was not final. So how would you like to do that?
I would advise that Mr. Mukumo.
Oh, I just want to say I'm back, but I'm not back. So you don't have to read it again, but I heard most of it, but I'm in between.
All right, thank you.
Madam Chair, perhaps you could share that.
I have a comment.
One second, I'm getting multiple things. So let me please finish with Mrs. Welch. Mrs. Welch?
Ms. Smith indicated that she heard the resolution and asked the board to continue. Mr. Rich, does that satisfy your desire to make sure that there can be proper discussion?
I just want to make sure that all board members have it in front of them. Is that the case?
It's not in a packet or anything that we have. That's what I'm asking, how to get it.
I'm asking, can a copy of it be sent to all board members? And then we take a 5-minute recess so that we can read it. Make sure that, because just hearing it once is one thing, but making sure that we have it in front of us when we discuss and vote, I think would be extremely important.
Okay, Mr. Rich, I think if there would be no objection, I think we would take a 15-minute recess, which would allow me to connect with Mrs. Welch in order to get that document to the proper place so I could send it out to all of you, because I'm going to have to go to a different device also to do that.
So how is it that Mr. Mukumo has it and the rest of us don't? Like I agree with Mr. Rich. I would love to see it. There was a lot said. Some of it, you know, I understood and agreed with, and some of it, frankly, I don't. And all of it it's a lot. So, you know, I would like to have a copy of it.
I think Ms. Green's suggestion is great. Maybe we have Anne Marie's, our attorney, send this out to our district email. Well, actually, either way, that, you know.
She doesn't have all the emails. That's the problem, Mr. Johnson. So.
Oh, if she sends it to you, if she sends it to you, then we can have it distributed, correct?
Correct. So if you give me 15 minutes to do that.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll reconvene at 8:05.
Yes, that sounds fine. Okay, this meeting is adjourned until 8:05. Thank you. I think that's it.
There we go. We got it.
I
Sorry.
corrected it. Thank you, Mr. Rich.
And you're back.
Sean, are we ready?
You are back. Yep.
Okay, we're back. Thank you. I'm sorry for technical issues. So we are back. We are at the point where we have a motion that the Board of Education accept the following resolution and conditions of censure related to Mrs. Angie Smith. Mr. Mukamal made the motion. It was supported by Mr. Johnson, and we are right now at discussion. Is there any other discussion from board members?
I have an item.
Mrs. Weems.
Yes, thank you. So I've read the resolution, and some of the resolutions I agree with, where there are unsubstantiated and disparaging public comments and media posts made in the name of the Board of Education, we should certainly disavow and certainly consider censure. A few things are sort of nagging at me, though. First, we've had issues before with statements made by board members that have gone sort of unchecked for years. And while they haven't resulted in a superintendent loss, they have resulted in board members resigning and numerous other issues. And so, you know, I find that we're not entirely being consistent here. But that doesn't mean that, you know, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. The other issue I have is that this action and others, both today and at our last meeting, seem to be coming to us with a request to make action the same day. And that's generally not our practice. We usually have a moment to digest, to provide recommendations or comments. And so, you know, I'm a little perplexed at how this resolution, you know, came about. I haven't had an opportunity to weigh in here. And I would have appreciated an opportunity to sort of help in drafting it. So that's my issue and concern with it. If I had to do it over again, I would have written it differently. I would have added and or deleted in some areas. So that's my feedback.
Are there other comments by board members? Any other discussion? Mr. Mukamal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The only remedy that exists for a Board of Education when a board member violates the code of ethics of this board and conducts themselves in such a manner that has led to the resignation of our superintendent. The only resolution that we have is a censure. And honestly, I think this is overdue. I witnessed some of the behaviors, and I don't want to say anything about it because I don't want to disparage anybody anymore. But I support this censure motion. I think it is appropriate, and I will vote for it. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing there's no other discussion, we have a motion that the Board of Education accept the censure resolution and conditions therein related to Ms. Angie Smith as read by Mr. Mukamal, supported by Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson, will you please do roll call vote?
Sure. One moment, I'm sorry. Let me show you everybody's name here. Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Ms. Weems.
No.
Mr. Mukamal.
Yes.
Ms. Smith.
Mr. Johnson, she's on an emergency.
Mr. Rich?
Yes.
I myself, yes. And Ms. Green?
Yes,
Motion passes 5-1.
thank you. The next item on our agenda is strategic planning. And unless there is an objection, I would recommend, given the circumstances of this evening, that we postpone the strategic plan presentation for another night where the board has an opportunity to regroup. Is there any objection?
No objection to that at all.
All
No
right.
objection.
We'll
None
move
for
that
me.
strategic planning conversation to a future agenda item. Thank you, Dr. Coffin, for being prepared to do that this evening. We appreciate the time, and we're excited about what the work is going to look like under the strategic plan. So, thank you. Mr. Johnson, I see your hand.
Yeah, I think the next thing is adjournment. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
I'd like to make a statement if that's okay. Thank you. I sit here today in the what used to be the Board of Education room. I was elected along with Ms. Cummings about 6 years ago, and I'm about 45 days until my term ends. I want to thank the citizens of Farmington, Farmington Hills, and those in West Bloomfield who actually voted for me almost 6 years ago, or actually 6 years ago. As I said earlier, Dr. Herrera made a comment that one of the things that we have troubles with here in this district is not the behavior of the kids, but it's the adult behavior. And unfortunately, it's time for me to go at this point, and it's with great regret that I'm going to step down with 45 days left in this term, because it's the adult behavior that has led us to where we are today. I was the first elected African-American male and the longest serving African-American male to sit in this position. When I came on with Ms. Cummings, I think we were both excited and eager, and I don't know if I'm speaking for her or not, but I think there were some great opportunities here, and this board has just completely changed. It's really unfortunate that we've actually gotten to a position where we can't even disagree without being disagreeable. I've actually had to file a harassment suit against one of the board members. It's just unfortunate. You know, we have a board member that is named as a witness against us, not only in one potential claim, but the same board member is listed twice, and they're listed as the first member, you know, the first person. And I'm tired of my reputation being torn apart. I'm tired of, you know, the things that Dr. Herrera has gone through. I'm starting to go through it as well. And for me to walk away with literally 2 meetings left, it bothers me. I sit here today in this very room where I first took this oath, where I first took this oath, where I first sat at this board table, and I took a vow, I took an oath, and I've tried to follow that. It's too much division in this community. And if you don't agree with those who, you know, listen, I'm going to point to Mr. Rich and Mr. Mukamal. We have far different political opinions. And that's okay, because I've worked with Mr. Rich and Mr. Mukamal, and we've agreed, we've disagreed, but it's never gotten to the point where things are where they are today. And that was part of the reason I didn't run again. We need some real change here in this district, and we need to hold people accountable. Unfortunately, this board has a bad history over the last few years of holding people accountable for what they do. And these false allegations and things that come about, they just need to stop. They just truly do. I'm going to have my resignation effective Saturday morning at 12:01. So whatever I need to run the rest of the week out to help Ms. Green or any other board member, I will gladly do. Ms. Cummings, it's been a long 6 years, but it's been a pleasure. Again, we haven't always agreed, but Ms. Cummings is very professional. I respect that. She comes to the table to work, and I look at Ms. Green and the things that she's had to go through. And I don't know where all this started. I don't understand where we as the board became the enemy. Dr. Herrera came aboard and he put some good things in place, and it's really unfortunate. But Ms. Green, it's been a pleasure serving with you. You were my son's teacher back at Hillside. I'm sorry, his principal. Let me correct that. His principal back at Hillside. And your love for this district is unlike any I've ever seen. Your love, your care, your concern. Thank you. Mr. Mukamal, thank you very much for what you've done. It's unfortunate you weren't reelected. Mr. Rich, thank you as well. And again, I just want to say you guys are phenomenal. And I hope this district holds people accountable. And we got to get out of this pettiness that we've been in, this organization running things and everybody else. We've got to get along. And the mere fact that you have a couple of board members who are out here pushing privately for a superintendent of color really disgusts me, especially what we had to do tonight. And I hope that this district comes forward and moves forward. But I just want to again say thank you to all the citizens that supported and voted for me over the years. And I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks back with the family and get some family time together. And again, thank you all. And again, Ms. Cummings, it was great spending 6 years with you, and congratulations on everything. And Ms. Green, thank you for the opportunity to speak, and I'll move for the adjournment or whatever after you.
Not yet, please, hold on. We have a couple other board comments, but I'd also like to thank you for your service, Mr. Johnson, and we accept that resignation, but thank you for your service. I have Mrs. Weems, and then I saw Mrs. Cummings' hand, and then I have something to say as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate that this is a really sad day here, a really sad day for Farmington Public Schools. We've lost a superintendent, and we've had to censor a board member. And while I agree with the censor, I just don't agree with kind of how it was conducted. I'd like to address adult behavior, and I'd like to really in the future work more collaboratively on matters going forward. I have a ton of I have great expectations for this district, and I have no doubt that we've got people here who will ensure that this district is successful, and that is what I have every confidence in. So while today is a pretty sad day for Farmington Public Schools, I believe there's a bright future, and I really look forward to those who are going to be joining us here very shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cummings.
Mr. Johnson, I gave you a thumbs up earlier because you were speaking for me when you said when we joined the board almost 6 years ago, we were excited and we were really pleased to be able to take on the challenge and learn the new roles and serve the community. Thank you for your service. This is it's a challenging position, and I do appreciate the time that you've put in here, and I wish you and your family well. Sounds like you're planning some family time over the next few weeks. And I do hope that moving forward, as I will also be departing the board at the end of my term at the end of December, I wish nothing but the best for the board. I hope the board can work collaboratively because that is how this board is going to get work done for the district. And that's this board's job, is to get work done, move the district forward. And I'm here to help. I will always be supportive of the board, and I'm happy to support if that's something that's needed. Also, I see a lot of names on my screen and some numbers, and I just want to thank everyone who is here this evening. I think a lot of people are here for the strategic planning that is going to be put over to another meeting. So thank you for your time and your efforts, and we do appreciate you being here and look forward to seeing you when we get that back on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Rich.
Thank you. As my colleagues have said, this is a sad day in our district. We're losing a superintendent. We have a board member stepping down with 45 or so days left of his term due to difficult circumstances all around. We need to be spending these next few weeks preparing for what we are going to do next. We need to make sure that we are on solid ground for our students, for our staff, for everyone here in our community, to make sure that we are doing what is best for them. Mr. Johnson, thank you for your service on the board. I know anyone who has heard Mr. Johnson and me speak, especially outside of meetings, but sometimes inside of meetings as well, no, we do not agree on a good number of things, but we always know that we are here for our community. We are here for the students, for the staff, for everyone here, and for the right reasons. We have a lot of work to do. But please, everyone, during the season, please remember to mask up and keep your family close as long as you're in the same pod or same household. Please be safe.
Thank you. For the past 35 years, I have dedicated my life to being an educator, and serving the Farmington Public Schools. I have served as a teacher, principal, and school member. I truly, with all of my heart, believe in and love our students and staff, and I have always wanted to make Farmington Public Schools the best place to learn and grow. It has been my passion and my love. Throughout my life, I have served as a servant leader in many leadership positions and always approached them with dedication and integrity, often sacrificing time with my family or taking care of myself. 2 years ago, I decided to run for the school board in order to lend my knowledge to enhancing the overall success of the district, especially in the area of curriculum and instruction. During my time on the board, we have hired one of the most intelligent and top-notch superintendents in the state, Dr. Robert Herrera. Together, Dr. Herrera and I developed a committee structure that increased working relationships between central office and the Board of Education. The committee structure also allowed for more transparency and voice. I also worked with Dr. Herrera to begin revitalizing the 3 pillars approach, which would have central office, the Board of Education, and the union working collaboratively together for the common good of the district. I have led the district toward revitalizing the strategic plan to increase a stronger focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and future-focused classrooms to prepare our students for the 21st century. I have also championed the need to have ongoing program evaluations and review of data to ensure that we are utilizing the best programs and successfully preparing our students to be productive citizens. Unfortunately, During the past 2 years, in spite of my very best efforts, I have been unable to accomplish everything I had hoped for when I ran for the Board of Education. I have tried to bring the board together through the offer of restorative practice, in addition to holding various workshops with MASB. I have failed. The behavior of 2 board members has interfered with coming together as a united board. Their behavior has been destructive instead of constructive and has created a climate of toxicity. One member attacks both current and past board members, as well as central office and other district employees. The other focuses on micromanaging the district administration to a level that interferes and distracts from their important work. As a result, I have spent the majority of my time over the past 2 years managing unprofessional adult behaviors versus focusing on the important work that we have been entrusted to do as a Board of Education. Unfortunately, these constant negative behaviors have taken a toll on my health, and I regretfully find that my health requires that I too must resign. My body will not allow me to continue to tackle these issues. It is not a decision that I have made lightly. I ran for the board to make a positive difference. In addition, the fact that the conduct of these 2 board members has led to the resignation of Dr. Robert Herrera furthermore underscores their dysfunctional behavior. Again, regretfully, my overall health does not permit me to continue to fight to do what's right for this district. I am hopeful that the new board members will come together and put kids first. My resignation from the Farmington Public School Board of Education is effective the end of the day on Friday, November 20th, 2020. Upon the adjournment of this meeting, any immediate board business and correspondence will be handled by Mr. Johnson until his resignation is effective, while I tend to and address my health issues. I am extremely grateful to all of you who have supported me during this very difficult time. It is with a heavy heart that I step down from the Board of Education, and I apologize to those of you who I am disappointing. Mrs. Cummings.
Thank you, President Green. I'm sorry that it has gotten to this point and you must resign, but I respect your decision, and your health has to come first. So thank you for your service to the board, to the district, and I wish you well.
Thank you, Mrs. Cummings. Mr. Johnson.
Pam, God bless you. I mean, you've put your heart into this, and I know your health obviously comes first, but what drove you there, you know, is unfortunate, and this district is losing, this board is losing someone that loves and cares about this district. You came in and 2 years ago when took over, and I think your leadership has been spot on. You know, we got a new superintendent in, we've, you know, done some great things. And again, you may be gone, but you're not forgotten. And thank you for all that you've done and will continue to do. And appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Rich.
Ms. Green, you and I have talked a lot over the last few years. What many people might not know is that I first spoke with Ms. Green over a decade ago when she was doing the Bountiful Backpack program and was talking with the Mayor's Youth Council as to how to make sure that our students are fed when they're not at school. That dedication and, love of our students is something that she's brought from her time at William Grace all the way through her time here as board president. And, you know, we ran at the same time and came onto this board at just about the same time. And, you know, we have been through a lot together. And Ms. Green, I want to thank you for the past 2 years and wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rich. There are no other comments from board members and
So moved.
no future business and no objection. This meeting is adjourned. Have a good
So moved.